to the Soulful Eclectic. I'm your host, Diana Collins, and I want to welcome you. If you have not been on my podcast, listen to my podcast, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. If you have listened to the podcast in the past, thank you for coming back. I appreciate your love and support. So this is going to be a three-part series with my friend, my family, Chris Woolard, and we're going to discuss the spiritual journey, life, discussing taking care of an elderly parent, and also taking care of adults who are lost in their way, and finding that space that they can be safe and be their authentic self. But we also will end off talking about Chris's strides in becoming their authentic self, and the books that they have published or waiting to be published. And so we have some great things coming up, so I hope there's something that within our conversation that helps you, resonates with you, or helps someone else to be that authentic self, even through trials and tribulations and storm. I often say a lot of the storms we go through is our test to our testimony, right? So with that, I start into our conversation. Right. So for the first time, this is all about you. Okay. So you get to toot your horn, tell us about you, and, just how you came to be the person you are today. Whatever you want to share, whatever you feel that is placed on your spirit to put out there. I think that's where it all stems from, So
Okay.
Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Chris. Probably the most proudest moments of my life is actually being a caregiver for my mom and ensuring that at her elder age that she's being taken care of, regardless of what supports I received or not from my family. The next thing is probably my position as an assistant director in a transitional independent living program where I assist runaway and homeless LGBTQ youth in trying to get their lives back in order. We support youth from the ages of 16 to 20, where we teach them advanced daily living skills, budgeting, and learning how to cook and take care of themselves and stuff. Some of the things that we probably took for granted that the adults in their lives taught them along the way, and just coming to connect with them, just realize that a lot of them were basically raising themselves. So there was a lot of training that at 16 to 20, you would think that they would know how to wash their clothes, how to properly wash themselves and care for them during their menstrual cycle, how to cook. And, these things were not taught to them. So just basically going back to the basics with them and trying to build them up so that they can be some great adults out here in the community. Lastly, but not the least important to me, probably one of the most important, is my walk with Christ. I've always been in the church. I was baptized in 2001, so I've always been in the church. I just felt in 2001 I needed to get back to who I was spiritually. And I was a greeter and usher for my church for a very long time. And then I decided to become a certified chaplain for New York State. And during that transition of becoming a chaplain is when I started to experience stuff in my marriage. I started to experience stuff in relations with my mom. And it just was a lot of attacks that was coming on me physically, emotionally, and mentally. So it was a very trying time. It was a time that I questioned, was this the path for me to go? Because prior to that, everything was It wasn't great, but it was good. And during that time is when spiritually I really began to grow and get closer to God. So I was able to actually assist my mom with her care. I was able to assist myself with things that I needed to do for me, and actually I was able to for the first time uh, really take onus and control of my life, where I had to stand up and be who I'm supposed to be, um, which is a challenge because a lot of times we don't get it early, we get it late. And I'm one of them that got it kind of late, but nevertheless, I'm here.
Hey.
um, yeah, I'm here. Um, so with the journey and everything going on, I actually stepped away from my church. I got permission from my pastor because I felt like what I needed, I wasn't being spiritually fed there. Not to knock the church or the pastor or anything that they was doing, but there was something that was really pulling me, and there was something that I needed. So in that chance, I visited a couple churches, and I said, when I find my home church, I'll know immediately. And just a brief synopsis of how I met my pastor. There was a Woman Can Preach To conference in 2019, and we met over discussing if we wanted pasta salad or regular salad. And it was just a really brief conversation. It wasn't really too much of a conversation at all. And, we saw each other a couple times in passing. And she said, I'm going to come visit your church. And I said, no, unfortunately, I'm not at the church anymore. She said, well, I have my own church, so, you should stop by. And, I stopped by at one of other churches, so I decided to go to her church that day. And as soon as I came in the church, I felt at home. There was a guest pastor that was preaching that day, and there was an apostle who's over, our church, and her name is Apostle Yvonne Harrison, who is the person who created the whole Women Can Preach To story. And she was praying over my pastor, and my pastor was down on her knees. And for some reason, I don't know, never felt this way before in my life. I just felt that I needed to go over and help her. And I stood up to go. And, when she looked up, I was there. I helped her up and everything. And they asked the people that wanted to join the church. And I was already standing there. So I said, you know what, God, I don't know what this is, but I'm here. And since that moment, I've been covering her. I've been feeling the need to be close to her whenever she is in a moment of praying for someone or something. And the ironic thing is that she has this church for like at least 6 months before I went there. And, the people that don't know me, they've never seen me before. Like, who is this person covering my pastor? And the funny thing was, well, it's not funny, but I guess it's what really showed that this was probably a position that, I was called to be, and the reason why I went to church that day. She was actually praying and covering someone, and I went over to cover her. And there was a pastor who knows her for a long time, that knows her for a long time, and he was covering her. And he looked at me like, like maybe to ask me to step back or whatever. And then he looked at me, he was like, all right, you're good. And then he went and sat down. So I think that was probably the first confirmation that that's what it's supposed to be. And probably within 2 months or so of being at the church, she appointed armor bearer. I didn't know what I'm doing. I don't even know what an armor bearer is. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
You're like, you're just called there to be there. You don't know why.
Exactly. Okay, this is where we're going. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And it's a position that where you have to be in a stance of prayer. You have to be constantly prayed up because attacks are going to come against you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come against the pastor.
Yes.
And the crazy thing is, like I said, I was in a church. Nobody knew me. And they're like, who is this person? Are you equipped to cover my pastor?
Right.
You know, it was a lot, you know. And I'm like,
but I got this. I'm good. I'm covered.
I got you, but I'm just trying to figure this out. And probably was one of the, and it was actually during the time that everything was going on. That's my relationship, my mom, you know, me transitioning to this new position at work, and it was a lot of stuff at one time that was hitting me. It probably was the test, because you know we always get the test before we get the
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, take this test to figure it out, and then later on, I'm gonna tell you what you were supposed to do,
right?
And how it was supposed to work out.
Your test to your testimony, right?
There you go, and it was probably one of the toughest times, but it probably was one of the best times because I really learned who I am in the process of everything. And how strong my faith was, because it was times that I really felt like giving up.
Right.
I really felt like giving up. My mom, unfortunately, I had to find placement for her because her dementia and her being my mom was probably the thing that was tearing my heart apart, because I know she needed help, but then it's like, this is mom, you know,
right.
like, no, I'm waiting for you to put me on your lap and sing lullabies to me.
Right, rub my hair, squeeze my face,
exactly,
all that stuff.
And you're sitting here telling me people sit in the living room to you. Can I tell them to get out the living room? And you're telling me at 3 o'clock in the morning you got a doctor's appointment you got to go to, and you know, it just was really a trying time. And you know, she was calling the cops on me and my siblings and saying that we were doing things to her, and it was really a tough time. It was really tough.
God gave you a huge test. That's like a final exam.
Yeah. And then, you know, it came to the time that my siblings was not assisting me with helping her. So I had to put her in placement in a long-term facility, which was probably another crushing thing, because it was like, I felt like I had one job and I failed it. She had 7 of us.
Right.
She managed 7 of us, and I had one job and one person to take care of, and I failed. But it wasn't until I actually was feeling really, really bad about it, and you know, every day I would cry because now I had transitioned to her home from my home because she needed someone there, and my siblings lived probably like 5 to 10 minutes away, and they weren't really trying to help me take care of her. And at the time, they were only giving her 7 hours, 7 days a week, and I was fighting, and they were saying, you know what, we don't have any proof that she has dementia, so trying to wait for the dates, because, which was crazy, is that the next appointment to see like a social worker or a psychiatric nurse or practitioner or anything like that was months away. So I had to like try to hold on for 3 months of this.
Right.
I couldn't do it. And, you know, I was really torn up, and one day I got down and prayed, and I said, God, I just need like 10 minutes of Mom. 10 minutes of who she is to me. Even though she physically looks like my mom and her voice is my mom, but the things that's coming out is not. And it was really a hard time, and it was really hard for me to process. And I went to her probably the next day after that prayer, and I tell you, I had about 30 minutes of a real conversation that was interactive. She was in tune, she was present, and she just told me she was proud of me. You know, she was proud of everything that I accomplished. She wasn't upset that I had placed her there, that she understood. And she told me that what probably was the best thing is that she is okay.
Wow.
And she wants me to live my life. Because at 85, she has lived hers.
See?
And, you know, all of a sudden, somebody somewhere in the nursing home started cutting onions, and my eyes was just, you know, I don't know what was going on that day. It was like 5 o'clock, so I really don't know why somebody wanted to cut onions, and my eyes was like really misty and teary. But I kind of got through it. And
you
from
just admit it. You were feeling the emotion. Okay.
yeah, I was,
You
I
was,
was.
okay? It was nothing about no onions, okay? don't
I don't
blame
know.
don't
I
blame
beg
the
to
onions.
differ. And I think from that point is when I really decided that I just was gonna just live and just kind of just focus on, the two tasks at hand was being the best armor bearer I can be,
Mhm.
and being the best assistant director for these youth that I can be.
Mhm.
And through that process and through that journey has brought me to the point where I'm being asked to do more in the church.
Okay.
Intercessory prayer, open prayer, scripture, um, some of the things that me, God. I'm not one of these. I'm gonna stand in front of 100 people or 1,000 people and have a conversation. So now I'm putting the forefront of people where I have to actually speak, and
Right.
everybody's looking at me.
Like, wait.
So
You want me to guide you? This flock right here.
exactly, like so. It actually has helped me in a means because I'm starting to facilitate more trainings and programs. So there's always a plan,
Yeah.
and like we were talking earlier, I'm actually going to do my first mini sermon tomorrow, and
Woo-hoo.
the nerves have set in, and there was a couple things that kind of came towards me, and probably the biggest one is my voice. I actually completely lost my voice Tuesday night, and I'm surprised I can even talk today because the whole week I was like, you know what, I'm gonna say the least I can. I'm just gonna reserve my voice,
Give me
and it was
some ginger
cracking me.
tea with some lemon.
Listen, I'm all teed out right now. I'm all teed out. I'm all teed out and cough dropped out. Like this. And I bought some throat spray and I bought all this stuff, and I finally went to the doctor Thursday, and he said, "Listen, there's nothing wrong with your throat. It's not red or anything." He said, "It's you.
It's
Whatever's
you.
going on, you need to relax and calm down."
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna just not think about it." So I was rewriting. I must have rewrote what I needed to do at least 100 times. And I said, you know what? I'm putting this to the side. This is what I'm gonna do. Wherever God takes it, He takes it. But I just have to stop because I was put so much on me that I was becoming a nervous wreck.
Right.
And when I spoke to my mentor, who is an apostle, and she said, you know what? That's part of warfare itself, because our biggest battle is the battle within ourselves.
Amen to that.
And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So now you hear it. I'm talking about it. My voice is starting to crack a little bit again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just remembrance of what's going on.
Loosen up. Don't tighten up those cords. Just let it
No, not at
flow.
all.
But the thing is, you got this. And you have to believe you got this. You got this. God wouldn't put you in this position if He didn't think you could do it. And that's what you have to hold on to and trust. And when you stand up there and says, God's got me, I'm covered. So whatever comes out, it was meant to come out. It was meant to be said. Someone in this congregation, in this flock, needed to hear it. So you just have to
Yeah, go ahead.
You just have to let it flow, right?
Yeah. And this is the first time that armor bearers have actually taken on to doing a sermon. So this is something, I guess. So when it was okay until you added that part to it. So I'm gonna be the first one to do
it. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that little extra part, right?
So in other words, don't you mess this up.
Exactly. I'm setting the standard.
Right, you are going to set it. It's all about you. Yeah. Awesome. So that is an amazing spiritual journey in itself, honestly, because that whole journey and the walk you continue to walk, because it's not over, right? You're just on one.
It's not. It's
You,
just beginning.
you're just beginning. It's just beginning. But it let you to be your authentic self.
Yes.
Right? Your authentic self. That part of you that you just been grappling with, trying to figure it all out. So
Yeah.
you share a little bit about that piece of you and your spiritual walk and becoming authentic in you.
The thing about it is, I've always lived my life out loud, and I've always been one who kind of colors outside the lines. I want bright, vibrant colors, and the thing about the spiritual walk, it kind of humbles you, where it's not about you. It's about a higher power, a higher authority, and we have to learn to walk in His word. And the crazy thing is that everything that we need to live a faithful life, a God-fearing life, is in the Bible, and He gives us lessons, and He gives us songs, and He gives us things to get us through whatever situation, whatever we're going through, and whatever we need is there. And the biggest thing that I've learned, and probably in doing the work for the sermon that I'm going to do tomorrow, which is on spiritual warfare, which I promise you, let me raise my hand and say, pick me, is that I've been through it. So as I'm reading it's crazy, because everything that speaks of spiritual warfare, I was there. Because there was times that I really allowed my mind to tell me that I wasn't good enough. I started to listen to the naysayers. Oh, are you equipped? Are you prayed up to be an armor bearer? What have you done thus far? Who are you? And after a while, those things start to really resonate. Really come into your mind.
Right.
And it started to hit me. Like I said, with just my voice recently. But before, I was going through stuff where I had a heart monitor for 24 hours because I was so stressed out that I was having palpitations. Just that. I was stressed out. I was losing weight. I was gaining weight. And, I had people in my life who didn't believe, you used to hang out and party all the time, and now you're going to church.
Right,
yeah, okay.
Right. How dare
and
you?
And it was the naysay. Exactly. How dare you say you were chaplain? How dare you say you were armor bearer? Yo, we was hanging out, And that was another thing, trying to get people to honestly understand and accept me for who I am now, that I might not want to go to all the parties and all the events and all the things that I was going to before. And then I had to be selective with the ones that I went to, because you don't want to be seen on certain scenes and people say, okay, you armor bearer and you were chaplain, but you was just hanging out at this party.
Right.
So that was another thing that I had to do, and I had to also be mindful of the people that was in my circle. Because, you always have people in your circle that's Debbie Downers, and you have people that's not living right, and, just you don't want to be the one to say, well, you should do this and you should do that. Because, we always want to be able to help our friends move in the right way. But you don't want to be that person. Or you don't want to be that person where people feel uncomfortable to be themselves around
you.
Because now you're walking a different life, So
right.
It was those struggles that I actually went through. And, I spent a lot of time alone, and what probably was, for an introvert, was probably the best thing in the world, because, I'm by myself, and I can operate in this space, perfectly.
Exactly.
But then when you're in spiritual warfare, it's not, because you have too much time and space, and you have silence, so you're able to hear the nonsense.
Yes. The rhetoric, the naysayers, all that is just playing back in your head.
Yeah, and it's loud.
Yes.
Because it's so quiet.
Yes.
It's loud.
Yes, I do understand that very well. Yeah.
That was that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just loud. It's that negativity that just continues to feed and fester if you allow it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Definitely. and it was a point where I had to turn it off.
Mm.
So there was times I did a couple fasts, or there was one fast I did for about 15 days, just to kind of cleanse not only my body, but cleanse my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Cleanse my mind, because sometimes when you hear negative so much, you start to hear and believe it.
Oh man.
You know,
Oh.
you start to believe it. And I'm like, no, I can't do this. I've never been a quitter. My mom always has told us, when you start something, make sure you finish.
Right.
So whenever things kind of crumble, I feel so bad, and I kind of take on a lot, because you don't never want to be seen as a quitter. You don't never want to be seen as a person who did not finish a task that was at hand.
Right.
And during that time, I just had to build myself up and get stronger, not only physically, but mentally and
Right.
spiritually. And those were the times it was, because it was times that I just listened to gospel music.
Gotcha.
There was times it was just silence, and I had to learn how to quiet the noise.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the mindfulness meditation part came in, to just focusing on what is here and now. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about where we at right now, where I am right now.
Right.
And that probably was the biggest thing that kind of helped me, guide me to where I needed to be. And I'm going to tell you, you've known me for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the lightest I've been in a long time. This is probably the happiest I've been in a long time. And it's not attached to anybody
Right.
or anything. And that, for me, is an accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, we've known each other for a long time, and just seeing you and hearing you, and like, wow, that's a totally different person that I knew years ago, which is amazing because it's you don't realize the toll people can take on your spirit when they're not in the right space, and you embody that, especially when you're that introvert empathic person, right? You take it all in and you internalize it, and it's like, maybe it is me, maybe I did do this, and then you don't realize, even though you think you feel good and you putting on you faking the funk, you're really not faking the funk, because those who really see you and know you can see. And I don't know, it's just one of those things that it's like, I need to change. How am I going to do it? It's a choice. It's a choice, right? I always say we have a choice.
We do. But do we take advantage of those choices? And that's the thing, is sometimes people are scared. And it's so ironic, is because during the time of me being really stressed and really concerned about everything that was on my plate, I used to look in the mirror and not even recognize who the person was.
Mm.
Who is this person? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes words would come and phrases and things would come out your mouth. I'm like, oh, who said that?
Right.
And what is going on? And finally, I've always been accepted of me and happy of me, and like I said, I've always lived out loud. And I'm finally back to that place, and it feels good. It feels very familiar, and it feels familiar in a good sense, as in a bad sense, because now I feel like I'm ready to accomplish whatever else comes at me, because I've done the work.
Right.
I've done the work. I've been tried and tested, and I'm still here, and I survived. So, what else you got for me?
Exactly.
That's where I'm at right now.
Outstanding. What a powerful message, right? That's why I couldn't say anything but outstanding, because you nailed it. You've done the work, and that's what a lot of us don't realize. You got to do the work, and see, work through that storm. That's it. That's what I wanted to say. Work through that storm, because that tenacity, that grit, that's going to shine through once you come out triumphant through that hurricane, that whatever storm that God put on you, because God doesn't give you more than what He feels, and He knows you can handle. And I think a lot of us forget that this frame that we have was built by God, and no matter what your spiritual background is, and if you believe in God, if you believe in some other spiritual being, it all stems from God. God created the universe, therefore, everything that dwells within the universe and drives you is part of and stems from God. And the framework we have comes from God, and we have to recognize that. And you don't have to be religious, because anyone who knows me knows I am not super religious, and I don't believe in one entity. I embrace all spirituality, and the basis of me is just based on kindness and treating people with respect and respecting others. So I appreciate Chris coming on and talking with us about their spiritual journey, and the work that they're doing with those young women is amazing. It's amazing because we don't realize what harm has been done to our youth. And when we look at the rate of our LGBTQ youth that are killing themselves, because they're not accepted in their home, they're not accepted sometimes within their group, especially if they're transgender, right? Depending on how the individuals in their group feel about being transgender, they're not accepted there either. So having that place that Chris has put together and is working, and I commend them 100%, and I can't wait to be a part of the work that they have, and I just so look forward to it. And I'm so blessed to have Chris share their journey with Christ, their journey taking care of their mom, because that's hard, and also their journey in rebuilding today's youth so that our youth can be strong, independent, and believe in themselves and be functional youth, be functional adults, because it starts with our children, and sometimes it still does take a village. So I praise you for that, and I thank you for coming on. And there's 2 other parts to this segment, so please listen to the other half of this, and all the way, actually the other 2 parts to it. And please give me your feedback. I'm on Facebook. This is not The Soulful Eclectic, it's Soulful Eclectic on Facebook. And I am also on Instagram at thesoulfuleclectic.com. And again, I apologize, my webpage is still under construction. So just drop me an email. My email is dc@thesoulfuleclectic.com, and I look forward to hearing everyone's feedback on any of the episodes, because this is episode 8, 8A and 8B and 8C, and I just want to hear what you have to say, and please share with family, friends. I also have the other Facebook page, Health and Wellness, LGBTQ Health and Wellness page on Facebook, that provides information for the youth in the LGBTQ community, the adults in the LGBTQ community. I don't want to say just the youth, because it's not just the youth, it's for everybody that lives in the community and is an ally. So please join us, and I thank you. Please subscribe. Tell me how you like the show. And as I start building and getting myself on other platforms, I will definitely share and announce them on my Facebook page. So thank you. Be well. Stay blessed. Have a good day. So this concludes today's episode. If anything that was said today resonates with you or with someone in your circle that you want to share this episode with, and you want to share that information with me, please feel free to send me a message via email or my Facebook page. You can leave a like on the RSS feed that you are currently listening to me on. And just let me know how you feel, whether you like it or you don't like it. Any feedback to me is great feedback because it shows that you're in tune to what I'm saying or what my guests are saying. And, it helps open up that dialogue. And I always like to hear other people's perspective on things that we've discussed. So thank you for joining me on this episode. And again, if you like the episode, join, subscribe, click how much you like it, and send me a message. The email address is dc@thesoulfuleclectic.com, and you can follow me on my social media. Currently, the Facebook page is up and running, and the Facebook page is called Soulful Eclectic. You have to drop the "th" on this one. And so whatever social media platform, website that you're listening to or you are following me on, please subscribe, rate the show, your thoughts. So until next time, take care of yourself, love yourself first, because if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love and care for anyone else, right? So with that, I bid you peace and love, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Namaste.